The card.
To me, the card that in triple Innistrad seal, or sextuple Innistrad seal, whatever, all Innistrad, to me, the defining card of that seal format was Chapel Geist.
Okay.
Right? Like, if
So
you look
why?
at undefeated deck lists, it was just like, there'd be like, I've got 2 Chapel Geists. You know?
Okay.
And it was just like this really good, you know, a sort of slightly above curve flyer.
Yeah.
You know? So, but it was like...
Well, I think the Chapel Geist, I was actually just mentioning this before, I think it's actually taken an upswing now.
An upswing?
Yeah,
It was
like-
already pretty good.
Like, it eats dark, young wolves and stuff. All right, I got a pretty good feel for his deck list already for Jared.
So we're not going to get too specific about the cards they're holding, but
Okay.
I think we're looking at a mirror match in terms of colors.
Okay.
Oh, there's a Sanctuary Cat.
Meow.
So that's I believe that's Jared on your left.
It is.
That's Chris PIKULA on the right.
Yep.
Oh no, it's not. He's white-green.
Yep. White-green over here.
Versus white-black.
Dealing with the cat. Well, this should be an interesting match. These decks actually should play out fairly similarly. I think that we can probably expect some aggression, some removal, and a pretty
Chris just missed his
deal.
third land drop.
He did. Or he could be on the draw. I wonder if Jared has a turn 3 young wall, so he must have just drawn there.
Close to Youth.
And he's going to let him read it. Yeah, that's definitely a relevant one to read for sure. That card can be very swingy in either direction.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the card, though. Is that a vault? Is that your beloved vault?
That is my beloved vault.
Oh,
Vault of the
no.
Archangel. No black in sight, though.
There is no black yet, so currently it's just going to produce colors.
That card is just so so unbelievable.
I have a feeling we'll probably see a few of those in the
Undefeated,
top list too. Yeah, the card just is such a monumental effect. So Chris is going to flip his Cloistered Youth on his upkeep.
Yeah, I mean he's
wow,
happy.
That's a heck of a hat that guy has.
Yeah, so is that a Lambholt Elder there on the top of Jason's board?
Correct. Looks like Chris has a Midnight Guard here.
Lambholt Elder is such a weird card. It feels like a card in previous draft formats.
Oh, yeah?
Would have been just a bomb.
Yeah. Looks like it's going to die here, by the way. It's getting dead weighted. Poor Lambholt Elder. But he kind of had to. If he didn't do anything this turn, then he ends up...
He's just going to He's just going to force field now with that Cloistered Youth, I think.
Yeah, I think he would probably... Oh, yeah, so I see what you're saying. He'd rather just take one than
He'd take one and then be able to hold those guys down.
Yeah. I wonder if...
that is an Evolving Wilds?
That is right off the top. Oof.
So
that
Chris needs
is going to produce some serious advantage next turn. We'll see how he can use his mana this turn. This is going to be if he can add another creature to the board and then untap with.
Oh wait, I guess that's not Evolving Wilds. That might be Haunted Fengraf.
Oh, is
he's
it?
tapping? Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, well, that's a lot better news then. We've got a Bonds of Faith coming down here.
Hold on 1 second. Oh, that's actually, I think, a Ghost Quarter.
You're right. Yeah, I'm not used to seeing that.
Yeah. It's an odd form of mana fixing sometimes.
You know, if he draws a couple of lands here, it probably is worth it for him to trade off one of his forests for a swamp here.
Well, Bonds of Faith, Chris is still just scuffling.
Yeah, he is. It looks like if he hits his third mana, he's going to be able to play a decent amount. I can see a Midnight Guard in his hand for sure. His hand is probably mono 3-drops at this point.
Avacyn
Collar, yep. So he's got a nice foil one. I do love a foil.
That card is really good.
It can be. You definitely want to be in green-white, and that's what he's in, so it makes some sense. Looks like the cat's going to pick up the collar here.
You like the collard greens?
I got a collar on the cat here, too, it seems. Well, maybe not. He's thinking. I mean, either way, it's gonna. We're not going to be getting a token, so we're going to be getting vigilance and +1/+0 here.
Sure.
And neither of which can really attack still.
Yeah.
You know, one play he could make here is he could send his young wolf in to get it up to
a 2/2.
A 2/2, and then he can put the collar on and actually trade it off with the.
He's just attacking.
He's attacking because he has a Ranger Scout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just going to trade his cat and his Ranger Scout
I would,
for the flip Scout.
I would not want to trade my Ranger Scout.
No,
here.
I
feel like I'm so far ahead. Like,
yeah. I would also not want to 2-for-1 myself here for this. If I could get the token out of it, I might consider it, but that's not how it's going to work here.
Okay.
I mean, he gets the thing off the board, but the problem is that he still just has the young wolf as his aggression.
Right.
You know,
So if Chris just like hits a land here
and plays the Midnight Guard as a 2/3, then the proceedings
well,
have been halted.
No worries about that. It looks like.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be discarded.
Is that a Traveler's Amulet now?
That is a Warden of the Wall.
Ooh.
Which would be a nice play here too. You come into play tap, so he'll take a bit of a hit, but nothing relevant here on the board, and then he's going to untap, and if he hits another land, potentially with 4 mana. So. It really seems like if Chris can find a land here, he's going to be able to play a spell every turn for
that's the story of
getting
Mana Screw versus Mana Flood, right?
Sure.
You know, the Mana Flooded player just doesn't draw density doesn't have a density of stuff to do in the mid to late game, and the Mana Screwed player as a it's double bonds.
Double bonds. Yeah. Would you have done that play?
I mean, I think you have to. Like, what are you going to do? Discard a card?
Yeah, okay, just as opposed
like,
to
you're going to discard something. Like, he's green-white. Like, it's possible that everything else he plays is a human for the rest of the game.
That's a good point. and beyond that, like we said, if he does hit his land, the potential is that he's going to be playing spells every turn. Okay, well, he drew a creature. So, Selfless Cathar.
Yeah,
we couldn't remember earlier.
He's the Cathar you sacrifice.
Yes,
that's his name.
We named him that. Let's see if Jared sees the play here, because he did hit another land, and if he wants to cash in his Ghost Quarter for a swamp, I think I would. Oh, he's got a 6-drop. Oh, he's playing Sudden Disappearance.
Wow.
Is that what that is?
That is Sudden Disappearance. So you and I were talking about that card earlier today, right?
He's doing it on his own creatures, on his own self, so he's going to knock off both.
He destroys both of those. So Sudden Disappearances exile all non-land permanents target player controls.
Yes.
And then return the exiled cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step.
Yeah, that's an interesting. That's one that Steve and Nate Price from their coverage in Japan had as the #1 card for that event in the sealed.
Right.
And I'm
see
torn
why
on
there.
it.
It looked pretty good there.
He got a 2-for-1 off it there, right there.
I mean, it's actually almost more than that because
he's going to get the wolf back, yeah.
Yeah, all right, there's the 3rd land for Chris.
Yeah, Chris has hit his 3rd land. He's also got, I can see a Tragic Slip in his hand here, which doesn't look like he has a viable target for. If he wanted, he could sack the Cathar and then Tragic Slip the Gallows Warden, but if that's what that is.
Yeah, it is.
All right, he's just going to go ahead and play Warden of the Wall. I like that play.
Yeah, I got to tell you, one thing you see when you're watching Chris is Chris is willing to just, like, play to the tempo of the game. Like, he's willing to. He's an old-time player. He knows he'll just use. He's like, I have, life to use as a resource. Sure. I have time. Like, he might be. He draws another land. He could possibly play 2 cards next turn.
Right.
Or play a 5-drop, or
like
just suddenly jump back up ahead.
Or he can just hide behind his Warden there, at least from the Young Wolf.
Right.
And just start playing spells.
Absolutely.
From his hand every turn. Thinking about what to equip.
He can Ghost Quarter himself.
He
right?
can.
Like it's he'd go down a land, cash a forest in for.
He's got 6 lands though.
I guess you just don't want to. I mean, there's no reason to do it right now.
Well, he can't activate it this turn, but I would do it.
He could have it set up for next turn.
I would do it for sure. Yeah.
I mean, just put the game out of reach.
Yeah, I mean,
and then there's nothing that Chris would be able to block.
Yeah, so what I would do, my priority here if I was in Jared's shoes is I would be trying to put as many things creature-wise onto the board as possible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right, because gaining the life at this point actually isn't that relevant. They're not racing. You know, his goal right now is just straight up to beat down Chris. We got a cobbled wings here. He can give his Gallows Warden double flying. He's going to pass. All right, so let's see if he decides to cash out.
Chris is down to 9.
Is that a Falcon Rat Torture he just drew? Yeah. Doesn't seem to do a whole lot here, although it does activate his Tragic Slip at instant speed if he wants.
Yeah.
But at the cost of a creature, which he doesn't have a ton of anyway. Also, if he wants to do that play, it looks like he's going to have to tap his Warden to make that happen, which he does. Down it comes. This seems like a fine play to me. He gets to sacrifice a human here as well. He's going to get a counter and flying on his Torturer, and he's also going to get to Tragic Slip the Warden. So looks like Jared decided not to Ghost Quarter here. He's drawn an island.
Now we got all the colors.
This guy, he's got a BDM mana base here, the 5-color.
I mean, honestly, in this format, I tend to be 2 colors.
You're pretty.
Yeah.
You
draft on the other
You hold
hand.
yourself
I'll do
back.
everything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, this is definitely a 4 to 5 color deck. There's the, oh my gosh. We got everything. There's no red. That's it. That's the only color he's not playing. Just double checking. But yeah.
Because there could be a grotto.
Sure. You know he does have a grotto.
Does he?
Yeah.
So there could be red.
So that's interesting. Like you see that he's, again, this is what we're talking about. Though. He's got all his mana. He's got his land coming on, his vault coming online, but he's kind of almost out of gas.
Yeah, like he really needs a lot more threats to make this a long-term situation. But that being said, it looks like he's just gonna block here. Yeah, I like this play quite a bit.
Yep. Block. 4 damage, sack him.
Okay, so Jared has the +1/+1 to all of your creatures with
Fateful Hour. Sure.
And he's also got one of my favorite cards from the new set, Wild Hunger.
I mean, that card is just so brutal.
Which, by the way, does that fulfill the red?
That does fulfill the red, because he can flash it back.
Yeah.
So Break a Day is the white card.
And he's going to go ahead and break a day here. But this is just going to get sacrificed anyway. You get a good look at Chris there. Oh, he's going to... Oh, okay. Okay, so we've got a situation here where now Chris has to make a decision.
This seems fine, right? Like,
well, so Chris...
This is at 9.
But, yeah, so the deal is that Chris can still actually just trade for the Gallows Warden if he wants. All the blocks already have happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's still just going to Tragic Slip, and he's just going to go ahead and take. So it's 5 damage here, because since the way trample damage works, since the creature's no longer there, all the damage is going to carry over. Well, he played Break of Day first.
Oh, right. I forgot about the break. Yeah.
Yep, and he's going to go ahead and equip the Cobbled Wings. So Chris is going to go to 4 here. But he's pretty
got
stable here.
He's got the Torture. He's got.
Now he's not going to be able to block
Warden
the
on the wall.
Wolf. Yeah.
He's got the Warden. The Warden can block.
Oh, true. So he can
That's
block
what it does.
and then he can actually block it. This is actually a pretty decent situation. Now, if Jared can manage to flash back, then
he cannot currently flash it back.
Not currently, and he's also. I don't think he has any cards left in his hand either. So I think Chris actually has
Mausoleum Guard.
Oh, and he can sacrifice that human again.
Right. So then he'll have a 4/3 and 2 1/1s
flying for the turn, plus the 2 1/1s. Wow. I feel like Chris has stabilized here.
Right, if you sacrifice a human, it's the plus one count is permanent.
That's right.
The flying is transitory.
Till the end of turn, right? Yeah. Yeah, even though Jared's really dominated the first portion of this game, I feel like it looks like he's trying to win.
Cards.
Yeah, I feel like Chris has. I feel like Chris has a pretty good shot to pull this thing off.
Okay, so now you have a 2-1
flying. Yeah, with vigilance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what can happen here is.
Oh, but which can also get Death Touch. Does he have? He has a planes open.
It can get Death Touch and Lifelink as well. So we've got the 2 spirits. I wonder what Chris is going to do.
4. And it's like he's fought so valiantly.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting because Chris is going to have to be constantly aware of that Wild Hunger getting flashback.
Yeah,
that seems to be the game plan for Jared at this point.
Right. Well, I mean, he needs a Shimmer and Grotto to do that.
And he needs to hit his Grotto. So this is going to be tough because it doesn't look like the colors that Jared's in are going to have a whole lot of reach. You know, they're not going to be able to punch through that 4 damage very easily unless he just draws a bunch of creatures.
Re-equip. So now it's a 3-2 flying vigilance.
Dog.
Yeah. But again, he can just trade. He can just trade his Warden.
His Warden. And if he couldn't do that, he could always. Well, I guess he doesn't have another. Yeah, he could still just sack one of the tokens and trade off his Torture.
Looks like lands are starting to come for Chris.
Yeah, they're flowing now. We see a Heavy Matic.
Oh, there we go. There's a Thraben Sentry.
Yep.
And now Chris can attack.
And now Chris is actually in a position to attack. Once he gets that Sentry flipped, it's going to put Jared on the defensive, and he's probably going to have to try to trade off whatever creature he has with the Death Touch. I think that was a nod of the button. You should know.
That could make for a much longer game.
That could.
That's one of my favorite cards in this set.
I know this very well. You've resolved Nod the Button against me.
I think I've been vindicated in my love
for
the card.
Like I can't take it because I was really down on the card.
You were really skeptical early on.
And it has its uses. I have to give it to you.
I mean, it seems like
you
amazing.
have some ideas, and I listen to you a lot more than I used to. You've had a lot of really good ideas recently, and forced me to actually listen to you. How do you like that?
I do. I like that quite a bit.
All right, we've got a Burden of Guilt here, which is going to do some pretty
Which
serious
is just one
work.
of the premium removal spells in the format.
You know, it looked decent when I first saw it, and it's become... Okay, I'm going to exaggerate here a little bit, but Swords to Plowshares. It's become the path. You know, it's so cheap to use,
right?
And it does what it does so very well. Look at this situation. Now that wolf is irrelevant now to the game.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like it's a tapper that you get to use on your turn to attack, and then on their turn,
that's right,
to stop them from attacking, which is something
I've never seen that.
Right, like with the tappers, the tappers you have to get things in sync. Right,
that's
if you want to take a turn and tap stuff on your turn to attack, then you're at a disadvantage on the next turn.
Exactly, like you can't race them at that point.
Right, but here it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And also what I like about this is that it's optional, so there's a forest, so what you can do is you can tap him down and attack him, and a lot of times the opponent isn't in a position with they can race you anyway.
Sure.
And so the tap them on their turn is irrelevant because they can't attack you.
Sure. I mean, here it's pretty relevant.
When you get them, yeah, that's true. The best part is when they're forced to attack you because they're like, well, they're just going to tap it anyway, and even though you're completely crushing the race, they're like, attack, and you're like, yep, I'll take 4. All right, so Burden of Guilt taps that. So it looks like Chris might just want to sack that token to flip his Sentry, huh?
It's certainly possible.
It's going to increase his clock. In fact, actually, does he have the one on the board here? Besides the bone that we know about. But Chris, no, since it's not a human, yes, that would be no. So Chris will probably go for the win here.
Sure.
He's going to be swinging for 9 damage, and Jared's at 9. But Jared's going to be gaining 4 or 6 life or something like that.
I don't know how many creatures are in his yard.
I think he has 2. I mean, the young wolf's still on the board. It died, but it's still here. So it looks like Chris just sacrificed a typhoid rat.
Right, he played it and sacked it.
Just main phased it. All right,
there's the nod of the bone.
Are you happy?
I mean, so he's got 1.
I think he has 2.
2.
Yeah, there's the cat.
3.
And then there's the elder.
So he gains 6. He goes to 15.
Takes 9.
Takes 9. Can go to 6, and then can gain 9 again. Can gain 6 again next turn.
He can do it now.
Yeah, if he wants to.
You might as well use his mana, right? I mean, typically you'd probably just want to do that.
He's thinking about what he wants to do here.
I see one of your favorite cards. I see the Loyal Cathar.
Yeah, I love that card.
I can't cast it. Oh yeah, he tapped both of his spins. I didn't see that one below. Okay.
All right, go.
Wow, that Falcon Rat Torture's value.
Yeah, I mean everything only the Selfless Cathar was the only thing that was kind of like.
You see what he just pulled?
No,
that's a Geist Honored Monk.
Oh gosh.
That's a fairly reasonable rip. Although I will note here, he did not flash back. But Geist Honored Monk is actually going to stabilize him fairly well here, I think. And he does have the mana to flashback his Knot of the Bone still.
Sure. So that's a 4/4 Geist Honored Monk. 2/1/1 Spirit tokens.
If he gets to activate his Vault,
he's putting
could be a huge swing back in his favor.
He's putting his equipment there.
I bet you Chris is glad he still has that token, the flying token.
Yeah.
And then he sacrificed
Tap your guy.
His rats. So is Chris able to attack for enough? No. Ooh. Oh, you see what just happened here? So Jared decided to use his mana to equip, and now he doesn't have mana to flash back. So if Chris can find a way to either force Jared to trade for his 5/4, or to just push the damage through, that he can actually steal this back.
Yeah.
Wow, this is going to be close.
See,
You can see Chris is thinking the same thing. This is a man who is deep in the tank. That screen right there identifies being in the tank.
And the problem is that Vault, like if Jared gets to untap and attack with a Vault untapped,
things are going to go downhill.
Right, he can gain. He has enough mana to do that and activate his Knot of the Bone. And flashback his Knot of the Bone. So things get ugly.
Chris has drawn a land, and I see he has a heavy Medic in his hand. That's going to give the Graben Sentry the +2, the full +2/+2. So I think he might.
Well, that's where you want it, right? Because it's a 4/4 Geist Honored Monk.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Chris's best outcome from this turn is just getting Jared to trade off the Geist Honored Monk.
There you get a look at Jared and his hat. Obviously taking a page from Mary Jacobson's book.
Yep.
Get a tournament hat. Make a top 8.
Hey, you never know. I've never tried it.
Rashad Miller's big on having 2 hats.
I like Gengar.
Gengar, is that who that is?
Gengar.
What is that from? Oh, okay.
Is that a non-Magic game that I've... I don't know any other games with Magic. Well,
all right, there's the Midnight Guard.
All right, Midnight Guard comes down. This...
He's just like, I'm just attacking.
He's just going to ship him in there. So this is going to force Jared to at least put 1 token in front of...
Right, which then gets Harry if he also puts his Geist Honored Monk in front of something.
Yes. It could be a board clearing play here.
These 3.
Because right now the Torture can sack both the Cathar and the Midnight Guard and get quite big.
Yep.
The flying isn't currently relevant because all of Jared's cards have flying. Another byproduct of this attack is that if Jared does end up losing his tokens, it's going to shrink that Geist Armor.
That's what I was saying.
down
Yeah, absolutely.
and make the Warden of the Wall a viable blocker just for the monk.
Yep. I kind of feel like I guess he had to equip, but all right. Okay. I mean, he gets a token back when the Geist Armor monk dies because it's human.
Right.
He gets a spirit token.
Right. Good call. And these spirit tokens have a lot of value on the game now that he has the vault, right?
Yeah.
They just, I mean, this is why the Thraben Sentry is such a key card here, because it's Chris's main avenue to actually push damage through a Death Touch token if the game goes long, which it has. All right, looks like Jared is going to go ahead and trade.
And just chump block the
He's just going to
Vulcan Wrath.
Yeah.
They're going to trample one over on you. Trample one over, you take 2, you go down to 3. You get a spirit from the Abyssal Collar. Chris points it out to him. Good man.
He's well known for his integrity.
Yeah. He was one of the original sheriffs of the game back
Yeah.
in the day. He was really like demanding fair play.
Yeah. And that's really carried through to today.
Yeah.
His legacy carries on for sure.
Yeah. We my company, my tournament company,
Yeah.
actually created the idea of deck registration for SeaTac.
Really?
Yeah, and it was partially from like the urgings of Chris and his teammates to like have some accountability to players in a SeaTac tournament that their card pool was a legitimate
Because it's
card
so
pool.
easy to just...
Yeah, it would, like you just, and even if people aren't gonna, even if you're not saying that people are gonna cheat, like you just would like to be able to play and have some sense that they're not going, like have
Agreed.
just like that sort of, okay, I can relax a little bit.
Yeah, and it's nice just to know that it's being watched.
Yeah. This has been an impressive. So now the other thing is though, now you also get to see Walter the Archangel on D.
Yeah, which is just like on D.
Yeah, you're like, hey, look at all my, Vampire Nighthawks.
Right.
Because the Death Touch is a big deal.
It's a huge deal, especially on expendable and almost free
Look,
creatures like the
look
ones
how
that
much
he's
energy, Chris has put into his, Vulcan Wrath Torture.
Right.
Right now he just like trades for like a spirit token for the Abyssal.
And he's already sacked a few creatures to it.
Yeah. One card. Chris is like, So now it's 8 life, by the way.
Yeah.
From the Gnaw of the Bone.
Right, because the
another 2 life from another 3 life from the Vault of the Archangel if he activates at the stern and trades.
It will be an uphill battle for
Right.
Chris. What he has to
He's not sending in the torture. He's like not willing to give the torture up.
he's got to make sure his guy stays on tap for the vigilance.
Please come to the big next stage.
So one thing to note here is that Jared doesn't have enough mana to both activate and to flash back his Gnaw of the Bone at the same turn. So it's something to consider.
I mean, he has to activate it, right?
Oh, I think so.
Lifelink, gain 3/6.
Yeah, because he needs to get these creatures off the board.
Chris might have had to attack with the torturer too. I'm not sure.
So if Chris ships the torch,
He's got a block, and then he'll have nothing in the air.
He needs to block this attack.
Yeah, he
so
just
this
needs to
is
block.
like
That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have
on game 1.
very long.
Block. Take 1.
He's going to go ahead and
Activate. So gain 3. Death touch your guys.
1, and then you gain back 3. 5. These guys die.
And Chris is eventually going to get the extremely loyal Cathar to come back and fight on his side. But again, the key here is that Jared needs some creatures.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, is that a Ravenous Demon?
It is indeed. Now, in this case,
I love that card.
It's a good card. It's scary. It's not. tapped.
I mean, right now it's a Dirkwood boar.
Yeah, which
is
that's
fine.
going to do the job.
Yeah. Unhallowed Cathar comes back.
So it looks like, does Jared still have one card in his hand there?
He does have one card.
Okay. And he's going to get to draw here. This is going to be this is a very key juncture. Looks at his card. He does not look thrilled about it.
He basically needs, this game. Wow.
He's
Great
gonna
job by
scoop it
Chris.
up. Jeez.
Clawing back into
Yeah,
that.
scraped it back from getting Mana Screwed early.
Like, basically, I think Jared's
facial
out
expressions.
there was to, literally draw his Shimmering Grotto and have a Ranger's Guile.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ranger's Guile would have been, he just used that Ranger's Guile early.
Yeah.
But, the ability to, counter that Burden of Guilt or to even, stop a tap.
Yep.
Well, I guess
It won't stop a tap from a Burden of Guilt. But
Right. Well, it will if you only have one mana left.
Well, it doesn't target. It just says tap enchanted creature. Yeah. I learned that.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good call.
I learned
Good
that
call.
the hard way. I was like, oh, wait, I can do that? So. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of boarding. Maybe a couple of cards coming in for Jared.
I mean, what more can Jared put into his deck? He's got it all in there. He's like, I need some red cards.
Yeah. Didn't go deep enough on red. Sideboarding is one of the super important things about Sealed, given that you have so many cards available to you. You often have a lot of flexibility with your build, and I think a lot of people get lazy or forgetful about sideboarding, and it's a mistake. You should really, unless your deck is just all of the cards in your two colors and that's all you're doing, if you're splashing something, man, you can almost always fix something.
That's your question. Card that doesn't look like Chris is playing. Black Cat. Do you always play that in Sealed?
No, I don't.
No?
I think it's playable.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable. I wouldn't hate myself for playing it, but it's not a big board impact card.
Sure.
You can get some value out of it, sure. But I don't always include it, no.
There you see the looming figure of DCI Rules Manager Matt Tabak immediately behind Chris PIKULA. Chris is eclipsing him occasionally when he bobs there. But,
Yep.
and then another card. What do you think about Grave Purge? In Sealed, that seems to me like a card I definitely want to play in Sealed. I want that to be my 23rd card. If I'm Chris PIKULA and I'm playing that deck, I want that to be my 23rd card.
I do too. And there's a couple of reasons for it. The first one, especially in Chris's deck, is that you saw what he can do. He can sack his guys for value and then just stack them back up on top of his library and just play infinite guys.
Just get a Torturer and a Mausoleum Guard back, right? At the end of a turn, go Torturer, Mausoleum Guard on top, draw one, play them both.
Right.
In a late game.
He can grind. That's a kind of a card that will blow out a grindy matchup like the one that he's facing here, where he's traded and he's surviving and he's alive, and then he goes, I'm going to draw a creature for the next 4 turns. Play. Now, the thing about a card like Grave Purge that I don't normally like is that there's times when that's not what you want to draw, and that's the card you have. The good thing is that you can just cycle it.
Yeah.
You can choose to not put any creatures on top, play the 2 and a black, and just draw a card. And that's what I really like about it, is that at the worst case scenario, it's a tempo loss of 3 mana, and that's the absolute worst that you're going to do. So I can live with that.
Right.
And oftentimes, you get back your bomb.
Yeah.
You throw your Geistlauner Monk back on top, and geez. Maybe Undying Evil it, they kill it again.
Yeah. And one of the things that's interesting to me about the cutting your Innistrad packs in half in the Seal format is, you lose that ability to have a sideboard card like Maw the Mire. Right? You see a Vault of the Archangel, you're like, man, I must have a Maw the Mire in here somewhere.
Yeah.
In 6 packs, you kind of almost always felt like you had one.
Yep.
And
that's not the case.
It's not the case.
Which is sad, because that's where that card comes in. Right?
Yeah,
it's not playable otherwise, but if you
it would be
beat
really
that,
good against Jared, right?
Yeah. The first non-forest or plains that he plays, you just kill that.
Yeah. And if you get the vault,
And
that's
if you
awesome.
get the vault, then you're super happy.
So Chris is going down to 6 cards here.
Okay.
Looks like he's going to keep a hand with Typhoid Rats, yeah. And there's the Young Wolf.
So annoying.
Yeah.
Comes down and you're just...
It's interesting. Chris, I think, has Typhoid Rats. Did not play it on turn 1.
Is this for werewolf concerns?
Oh, there's a Thraben Heretic.
I like that card a lot.
Yeah.
Chris is going to Bonds of Faith the Young Wolf again, so he's just going to stem the bleeding. He must not have a quick hand here. Maybe he's missing a white, so he's got a Loyal Cathar in his hand, but he doesn't know when he's going to be able to play it, so he'd rather just... And like you said, how many targets is he really going to have?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to wait around. He uses up his mana this way, too. There's a Vengeful Vampire that he'll be able to get into later.
There's the Torture.
And there's the Torture for turn 3.
Also, another card good with Undying.
Yes.
In terms of, like just making your guy bigger, or even, just getting your guy to be on offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
So, a thing that I think people don't see about Undying a lot of times is you can just play. He's just like, my card's a card, I'm trading.
Yes. That card was instrumental last game, but he's happy to trade it.
There's a 5/5 Festerhide Boar.
All right, so if you did have a Rats, this would be a fantastic time to play it. He's just going to play a Matic. Yeah, so... Is that the Ravenous Demon? I can't see. I'm not sure.
I think he is holding Rats. I thought what I thought was a trade for Rats. Maybe a Ravenous Demon. Explain why he didn't play it on turn 1.
Yes.
Because that would be cheating, and we know Chris is very actively anti-cheating.
Right, so Ravenous Demon turn 1, he's against it. This
boy.
is a savage curve we have now.
Oh, boy.
Wow. Alright, so Chris threw a Mausoleum Guard. He's going to play that. Unfortunately, it's not going to do a whole lot here. It's really not. He might actually have to take this hit. 5, 9, 11. You put him at 1. He can't take the hit. He's going to have to chump block the Price Honor Monk here. This is looking...
Yeah, this is pretty gruesome.
If there was a Wrath of God in the format, then maybe he'd have an out, but doesn't have the mana for that either. So he's going to take 7. Goes to 5. He's got 2 tokens and a Matic. And Jared is going to keep applying... Oh, he got his Grotto. And he's got a Kessig Recluse as well, which is fine here. A 2-power guy that's tough to block. Not that blocking's really an issue. It's going to be fine. Oh. Well, Chris drew a Bonds of Fate, so he's going to be able to take out...
No.
Oh, that wasn't a Bonds of Fate.
Doesn't matter what
was another Mausoleum Guard.
Yeah. Look at Noah Weil standing in the background.
Yep. Had him on limited resources this week.
Yeah.
He used to write limited information.
He did?
Yeah.
He did.
Great limited player. You see Taya there too.
Steele, yeah.
Cube aficionado.
Recent Seattle transplant.
Yeah. Yep, her and her husband Justin.
They seem to slot right into the Seattle Magic community. So talk a little bit real quick about that. How it feels like the Seattle Magic community has just been growing.
Oh, the Seattle Magic, this is a place to be if you like to play Magic. We've got...
Which wasn't always the case out there.
Was it because of Wizards being here?
Just like it never seemed like there was this identifiable strong community.
Yeah, it's here now. We've got a great local store, Card Kingdom, this place where everybody congregates. We've got Wizards of the Coast being based here, which has the Wizards R&D and the machine that is Wizards. People flow in and out of that, and they're all very dedicated to the game. So you can run into them often. And we have people even moving here, like Taya and her husband Justin, who just add a lot to the community too.
Sure,
it's fantastic. The last sealed PTQ I did here, 300 people.
What?
Yeah. There was some guy there that said he'd been in a GP with fewer people.
300 people is insane.
It was insane. I didn't win.
Yeah. How'd you do?
Poorly.
Okay.
1-2 or something.
Was it Innistrad Dark Ascension or?
It was Innistrad.
Just Innistrad. Okay.
Yeah, which I'm very comfortable in that format, so I was pretty disappointed. My pool wasn't that bad either, but didn't come together.
Chris is not happy yet with his deck. He's taking his maximum amount of time to board.
I think, you know what that was?
That was the Ravenous Demon?
No, I think that was Gruesome Discovery.
Oh, interesting.
Is that possible? I think that might have been him, which is a card I don't like that much.
Yeah, it was Gruesome Discovery. Yeah. It seems...
Like, if he turn 4s it, it's fine, but any other time, this guy's just curving out on it. And also...
Gruesome Discovery feels like a card that, at some point in the past, would have been a tremendous seal deck.
Oh, yeah. When things were a lot clunkier and
just not clunky. Just a format where you feel like... how about this? How about in a format where there was an overrun or a fireball?
Don't say that word.
But I'm saying like or mind control or any of like the uncommon cards that like you wait for your spot on.
Yeah.
But this is not that format.
Take it out of their hand, done.
Yeah.
I agree. But what we were talking about earlier, format of 1-drops. I mean, if he goes, even if he just goes 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, and then you hit him and take away his 2 5s, he's like hit you for 8.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there saying, I didn't add anything to the board that turn. So, yeah, I'm not super keen on it. Although I have to say, if you do get the Morbid trigger, that would be pretty nice.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it's going to be good in something, it's going to be good in sealed.
Yes, I agree.
Honestly,
Give me a mind run.
It might not be bad against Jared, actually.
Why?
Because he's playing 4. We've seen him play 4 colors.
Oh, okay.
Like it's just the idea that stuff might get stranded, or like his sequencing ends up just being like clumsy because of his mana.
That's a good, and you can really punish him for it by making it. Because if you've got a splash card and a splash land in your hand, what are you doing?
Right.
You just pitch both.
Right. And I think it lets you take anything, right? Like
if there's Morbid, you get to take 2 cards of your choice.
Yeah, and you could just take lands too.
Right.
Which is like a weird thing to say, right? But like,
that is very strange. You can. You get to pick, even if it's lands?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that might actually be a thing. I still don't like tapping out for no board presence on turn 4, but you can at least raise some points.
But he can, and we've seen that Chris can Morbid it pretty easily, like, right?
Yeah,
like he has the ability to Morbid it at will, like he can. We see Jared taking his mulligan for the match. Taste the rainbow.
It's funny watching him draw. He really needed to draw a forest instead of that island. This is where finding that balance between power level and consistency can come up and bite you.
Yeah, especially if Chris gets a curve with like a Loyal Cathar, like Selfless Cathar, Loyal Cathar. That hand's dead.
Dead. Looks like Jared is doing that very tough decision where he says, if I draw
I'm on the draw. I have 2 chances to draw land.
He looks like he kept it. If Chris can get... That is a wild hunger. If Chris can get off to a quick start, it looks like he should be able to... he could bury him here. Loyal Cathar?
Yes,
Loyal
it is.
Cathar. That's a good start. Is it an urgent exercise?
It looks like it is. I mean, he's seen 2 Bonds of Faith.
Yeah, and Anna Burden.
Yeah.
All right, Chris does 2 into 3. Is it a torture? It is. And he's going to jam.
He's like, I would like to get some value if you have a removal spell somehow.
Yeah. And that is a plane, so at least it's a land, but he really looks like he's got a young wolf and a boar. Oh, he has nothing this turn. Maybe, I didn't see a rebuke in his hand. This is an interesting position for Chris. He's going to have to attack regardless, but he should expect that something should happen on Jared's turn. There's rebuke. There's rebuke.
Midnight Haunting.
There's Bellringer.
Bellringer's not.
It wouldn't do a whole lot here.
I mean,
it wouldn't eat the...
You can eat the torture.
Which is removal.
Yeah.
All right, looks like... Ooh, and Priest just came down, which means that even if Jared does hit a green source, it'll likely be something that can be tapped down and attacked through. So Chris is probably just going to jam in the Priest here, though. Yeah, he's just going to
So this is so funny. This like plays exactly what we talked about in our pregame. Just about the idea of splashing versus not splashing.
Yeah, it's funny.
Right? Like, I mean, we see Jared who's just splashing for a ton of stuff, and he's sitting there on his island, which is there for like, for what? Right? Like, it's it's there for he's splashing like a blue bomb somewhere.
Yeah. It looks like Chris is just going to run over with this one. He plays the Vengeful Vampire, which is going to be tough to get rid of as well, and that looks like the game.
Wow, what a turnaround for PIKULA.
Man, he started off with 2 lands.
He was just
and
scuffling
no guys,
like crazy.
And then the middle game was grindy, and all of a sudden, PIKULA just runs him over here.
Hey, Rusty, how much time is left? And can we get Chris PIKULA to come visit with us? We're going to check and see if I can't kick you out of the booth to talk
Oh, yeah.
to my old friend Chris PIKULA for a
No,
little
I
bit.
will bow out for Chris PIKULA any day.
Okay. I will take off my reading glasses.